There once was a man who was benched as a quarterback in college, a man who watched on as a team he led went on without him. A man who stared from the sideline hoping to get his shot, facing a battle to not become the starter, but to remain the backup. When someone finally saw the talent he possessed, they took a chance on him, and he developed into one of the best quarterbacks of his time, taking down legends including John Elway, Jim Kelly, and being the man behind the team that forced Marino into retirement. That man is Mark Brunell. Mark Brunell was born on September 17, 1970, in Los Angeles, California. His father, Dave, was a standout baseball pitcher. His 1.01 ERA and 12-3 win-loss record led him to be drafted by the Kansas City Royals out of high school. After sustaining a career-ending arm injury, Dave got a job as a teacher and baseball coach at St. Joseph High School, the same high school that his son, Mark, would attend. In high school, Mark excelled on the gridiron, throwing for nearly 6,000 yards and receiving interest from many high-level football teams, including USC, Stanford, UCLA, and California. Mark decided to go his own way and commit to the Washington Huskies to move away from city life. After being a backup in his true freshman season, Coach Don James felt strongly in Mark and named Brunell the starting quarterback of the 1990 Washington Huskies. His first season at Washington was outstanding, where he threw for 1,732 yards, 14 touchdowns, and 8 interceptions. His athleticism and quick feet led him to rush for 444 yards and 10 touchdowns, making him a dual-threat quarterback. Combined with his team efforts, Brunell brought the Huskies to a 10-2 season, ranking them 5th in the country and defeating the Iowa Hawkeyes in the Rose Bowl by a score of 46-34. Coming into 1991, the Washington Huskies were viewed in a different light. After finishing the 1990 season 5th place in the country, the Huskies were viewed as legitimate national championship contenders. Everyone was high on their star quarterback Mark Brunell, and nothing was getting in his way to guide the Huskies to the championship. At least that is what fans of Washington football believed, before their hopes were shattered. After a devastating knee injury, Brunell was sidelined. Luckily for Washington, they had a strong backup in Billy Joe Hobert, who would become the starter in the 1991 season and lead the Huskies to a national championship. Though Brunell would come back in 91, he would only play in games where the outcomes had already been decided. It had begun to seem like Washington had forgotten everything Brunell had done, even leading into the 1992 season, where Brunell would remain the backup. All hope for Brunell had seemed to vanish. Quarterback Billy Joe Hobert was found in violation of NCAA rules after borrowing $50,000 in loans from an Idaho businessman. Needless to say, he was immediately suspended, and Brunell was now the starter of the 8-0 Washington Huskies, who were ranked 2nd in the country. Brunell would only lead his team to one win in their last 3 regular season games, losing in the Rose Bowl to Michigan. Brunell was picked in the 5th round, 118th overall, of the 1993 NFL Draft by the Green Bay Packers. With the Packers, Brunell saw a little playing time, as the starting quarterback was Brett Favre. Brunell spent most of his days in Green Bay fighting with Ty Detmer to be the primary backup. After 2 seasons with the Packers, Brunell became a restricted free agent and had an opportunity to go to the Philadelphia Eagles. Not wanting to spend the rest of his 20s as a backup to Randall Cunningham, Brunell turned the offer down. After Brunell gained little interest as a potential starting quarterback in the NFL, he began to lose hope. His hope was restored on April 25, 1995, when the Jacksonville Jaguars traded a 3rd and 5th round pick to Green Bay in exchange for Brunell. With the Jaguars, the star that once led the Washington Huskies came back. In his 2nd season in Jacksonville, Brunell would become a Pro Bowler, throwing for 4,367 yards, 19 touchdowns, and 20 interceptions. Not to mention, he took the Jaguars to the AFC Championship after they beat Jim Kelly and John Elway. The next season, Brunell would reach the Pro Bowl again after throwing for 3,281 yards, 18 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Brunell helped lead the Jaguars to 4 straight playoff appearances from 96 to 99, making it to the AFC Championship once again in 99 after beating Dan Marino and the Dolphins in the divisional by a score of 62-7. 99 would be Brunell's 3rd and final Pro Bowl season. From 2000 to 2002, Brunell would remain the starter of the Jaguars, though Jacksonville would fail to reach a playoff appearance. After being benched in 2003, Brunell's time with the Jaguars as a starter came to a close. In 2004, Brunell would be traded to the Washington Redskins, where he would go 3-6 and be benched by Patrick Ramsey. Going into 2005, the Redskins wanted Brunell to remain the backup, but after Ramsey was injured early in the season, Brunell would command the Redskins to a 10-6 season, reaching the divisional round. Brunell would throw for 23 touchdowns in 2005, the most in his career. In 2006, 36-year-old Brunell would be benched again and would spend the rest of his career as a backup, earning himself a Super Bowl ring in the 2009 season after backing up Drew Brees. 2011 would be his final season, where he spent his time in New York. Brunell is currently the quarterbacks coach of the Detroit Lions, a position he has held since 2021. Last season, Brunell helped Jared Goff become a Pro Bowler after he threw for 4,438 yards, 29 touchdowns, and 7 interceptions. Though Brunell has not been the quarterback of the Jaguars in 20 years, he still holds the record for most completions, touchdowns, and yards by a Jacksonville quarterback. Whether or not his records will be broken is in the hands of another quarterback in Jacksonville, who like Mark became a Pro Bowler in his second season with the Jaguars. Is Trevor Lawrence the next Mark Brunell?